dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, it's 6:30. I'm Will Puckett.
And I'm Cassidy Strickland. I hope your morning is off to a great start. It is Thursday. I started to say 6:30. I don't know why. It's 6:30 in case you were wondering. But as you head out the door this morning, it's dry. But you might want to be prepared because it's not going to be the case later today, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. Let's bring Brandon in on the fold. And Brandon, today is going to be a good day to stay inside and also have a rain jacket, rain boots, umbrella, just to be on the safe side. But for people watching the higher elevations, they could see some snow, but that as well will either taper away or transition to rain at some point, right?
Right, exactly. And that's above 3,000 feet, so most people not affected by that. But the mountaintops, if you travel across those, especially Black Mountain and Pine Mountain on the Letcher County side, be careful of that. Speaking of Letcher County, let's go to Whitesburg on the camera network this morning, and all quiet there. As we head out the door today on this Thursday, you see some green off in the distance there on live pinpoint Doppler radar. Heavy bands of rain coming in toward Bowling Green and Nashville at this point, closing in on the eastern part of the state here in the next few hours. 40 Monticello, 32 Wise. Everybody else there in between with temperatures. The planner for today, 42, I think, for most of us. Maybe the low 40s there, maybe some mid 40s in areas that the warm air is surging into before the rain gets there. But those rain chances will increase as we head deeper into the afternoon hours. We'll have more on the forecast coming up here in just a little bit.
Alrighty, Brandon, thank you. Well, there are new allegations of sexual misconduct against Kentucky lawmakers, this time against Republican State Representative Robert Goforth. He just announced his run for governor. A woman who says she met Goforth around 2008 claims he sexually assaulted her. She made her claims on an online petition posted on moveon.org. Goforth responded to the claims yesterday to an email to us. In a prepared statement, Goforth said he was unmarried when he and Whitaker had a brief consensual relationship. He went on to say, the allegations that I assaulted Miss Whitaker are categorically false. I have never assaulted anyone. My wife Ashley and I do not take these allegations lightly and are deeply troubled by them. Well, the allegations against Goforth comes as Kentucky Democrats are calling for the resignations of two other Republican lawmakers.
A recent report reveals new details into allegations of sexual misconduct. The Kentucky Center for Investigative Reporting got a copy of the deposition from a woman who worked for former House Speaker Jeff Hoover. In it, the woman described, quote, nearly daily touching and sexual harassment. The deposition also outlines allegations against Representative Michael Meredith and two former representatives.
Well, House Minority Floor Leader Adkins announced his run for governor nearly 2 months ago. Yesterday, he hosted one of several meet and greets with people in our area. Since announcing his bid, Adkins says he has traveled across the state talking to people. He talked to people at the Senior Citizen Center in Hazard yesterday, both answering questions potential voters may have and telling them what his plans will be if elected.
To diversify the economy, to grow the economy, to invest in infrastructure of roads and bridges and, broadband, to have a world-class broadband that can compete in this global economy. Whether you live in the head of a holler or whether you live in an urban area, our children, our people, our small business, our industry, if we're going to recruit that kind of business and industry to eastern Kentucky, then we've got to have that kind of infrastructure to make it happen.
Now, Adkins will host another meet and greet later today in Mount Sterling.
Meanwhile, the Secretary of State's office confirmed the candidates in a special election for the office of State Senator in the 31st District. That includes Elliott, Lawrence, Martin, Morgan, and Pike counties. The Republican candidate is Philip Wheeler. His Democratic opponent is Darrell Pugh. The special election will be held Tuesday, March 5th. The winner will replace Ray Jones, who is now the Pike County Judge Executive. And the debates over pension reform continues in Frankfort later today. The Public Pensions Working Group is made up of both Republican and Democratic state lawmakers. They first gathered on Tuesday. Now, the General Assembly will not meet again until February.
A new business could be coming to eastern Kentucky. The hemp business is quickly growing, and one man hopes eastern Kentucky can take advantage of it. Neil Spears is the Director of Operations for East Kentucky Extractions. He says he wants to use hemp to grow the local economy in Letcher County. A representative from Mitch McConnell's office met with business leaders yesterday to talk about the proposed plan.
Our coal's been going away. Our jobs been going away. We're training a lot of people that can do these kind of things at the local universities, but they all go somewhere else to get a job.
Neil Spears and his team hope to use the old Ferris building at the Gateway Industrial Park. He says he hopes to have the hemp extraction plant open by mid-summer.
Well, Senate Republicans blocked a Democratic effort to maintain sanctions on companies tied to a wealthy Russian business leader. The sanctions resolution from Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, which needed 60 votes to proceed, was defeated 57-42. But it still represents a symbolic rebuke of the Treasury Department's December decision to lift sanctions on 3 companies tied to a Kremlin ally. 11 Republicans joined with Democrats to support the resolution, arguing the Trump administration made a mistake in deciding to lift the sanctions.
The partial government shutdown has dragged into a 27th day with still no end in sight. Democrats are increasing the pressure on President Trump to put an end to it by threatening one of the biggest speeches of the year. CBS's Mark Liverman has details from New York.
The president's State of the Union address is uncertain.
This requires hundreds of people working on the logistics and the security of it. Most of those people are either furloughed or victims of the shutdown.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is asking President Trump to postpone the annual speech to Congress or deliver it in writing if the partial government shutdown isn't ended soon.
You can make it from the Oval Office if you want.
Citing security concerns, the Speaker wrote that both the U.S. Secret Service and the Department of Homeland Security have not been funded, with critical departments hamstrung by furloughs. The White House hasn't responded, though Secretary of Homeland Security Kirstjen Nielsen tweeted the agencies are fully prepared to support and secure the State of the Union.
Democrats have made a marketing decision.
And all your blaming and flailing.
As the two sides squabble, frustration with Washington is reaching a tipping point.
Kind of almost like there's no end in sight, and it's just nice to know that there are people out there that are willing to help.
Kelly Starcher is furloughed from the IRS. She's just one of the 800,000 federal employees not getting paid during the shutdown. Many are now relying on food banks and donations.
January, we just barely got the rent paid. Haven't paid the car yet.
If the shutdown isn't resolved by Tuesday, most will miss another paycheck. Mark Liverman, CBS News.
Well, 2 different bipartisan groups in Congress are urging President Trump to temporarily reopen the government while the 2 sides debate border security. But the president reportedly will not end the shutdown without border wall funding.
Lawmakers in West Virginia are drafting a proposal to use state funds to help pay for President Trump's border wall. The president wants nearly $6 billion for the wall. The proposal by several members of West Virginia's House of Delegates would divert $10 million from the state's surplus to help pay for that wall. Opponents of this proposal have called it a publicity stunt.
Well, we keep hearing stories of people and businesses helping furloughed federal employees during the shutdown, and we have another one this morning out of Inez. The IGA grocery store in Inez and Warfield are offering to let federal employees charge up to $150 worth of groceries per week. You must bring a photo ID and your federal employee ID. You must live in Martin County and meet all criteria to be eligible.
Well, boxing legend Muhammad Ali will have a hometown airport named after him. Yesterday, officials in Louisville approved a new name for the local airport. It will be called Louisville Muhammad Ali International. The change is expected to go into effect in June. Officials say Ali has international name recognition, and renaming the airport will boost the city's identity. The legendary boxer died in 2016 after a battle with Parkinson's disease.
6:39, still to go on Mountain News this morning. Gun shop owners say more and more people are coming in to take concealed carry training.
Rain is once again on the horizon, and its colder cousin snow could make another appearance this weekend. I'll have the latest forecast in about 2.5 minutes.